Welcome to A Healthier, Happier You, the people working to make it happen. I'm Evan J. Chalfin from Luxhammer, where we help the brands that help you live healthier. Today I'm joined by Dr. Beau Wangtrakuldee, CEO of AmorSui, who's transforming the PPE industry through sustainable and inclusive design. Beau, thanks for being here.
It's Evan. I love being here also. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So your founder's story is compelling. Can you share what happened in that lab that helped you to create the company?
Yes, Evan. So AmorSui is a company that I found 7 years ago now. This is before COVID. And my background, I am a PhD chemist, material scientist. So I, work in the lab over 2 decades before starting this company. And AmorSui was started to really address a problem that I see around the lack of quality medical supply and PPE that meets standard of what it's supposed to do. Especially for PPE, personal protective equipment is supposed to protect people. Before I finished my PhD, I was conducting experiments that I had a huge chemical spill accident caused by a lab coat that was too big, and basically it snagged on my chemical reaction experiment that it caused the chemical to come down on my body and spill everywhere in my body. So one, because it doesn't not fit, it caused the accident to happen. Second, when it was supposed to protect my body, just a regular cotton lab coat was completely burned right through. So my whole right side of body was completely burned. And I was out of commission for 2 weeks. Post, recovering, it really caused me to question, what happened? Like, why is it happening to me? And I came up with the answer that it was because majority of medical supply and PPE market was focusing on cheap, disposable products that could be used really fast and disposed really fast, that the quality was not a priority. That caused some of the products, especially personal protective equipment, to be made of low quality products that did not protect you when the time comes. So the business has been built upon those value propositions. Can we create a brand and a product that really put the quality back, prioritize to help the human, the people who's wearing it, especially healthcare professionals. And then also, can we create a product that also address the good from a sustainability and environmental health perspective? So good for the planet also. So we have been built upon that kind of like missions ever since 7 years ago and growing.
Wow. So what would you say makes your approach to PPE unique in the market?
Yes. Again, I think over 90% of medical supply and PPE product in the market right now are made of disposable plastic. The quality of that does not meet whether that is a fluid repellency. In the case I just give you an example, the lab coat, the isolation gowns are supposed to protect healthcare professionals. Also, things that made of plastic are really polluted and toxic. You might have heard of like PFAs, like microplastic, other like chemical like BPA and other things that come with disposable product. These could be absorbed through skin that could potentially cause cancer, could have effect on environmental growth of babies and things like that. So, these healthcare professionals and user of PPE are being exposed to the use as a plastic-based product for many times. And our products are currently lacking of that. So I would say that we have improved upon the quality and safety. We are improved upon the clean product aspect of having no chemical concern. And then better for environment because our product could be reused, reprocessed, rewash over time. And at the end of life, it could be recycled 100%. So that's mean no waste is going into the landfill. Million tons of waste that going in the landfill from disposable product, from hospital facility, from research center, from manufacturing facility. We could eliminate all of that with our product.
Yeah, you're tackling multiple problems, sustainability, understand inclusivity and safety, of course. So What would you say resonates most strongly with your customers?
We currently selling our product through two different model. One is direct to consumer, so we selling it direct to healthcare professionals, scientists, professional workers. And the second piece is we selling directly to enterprise. These are companies are typical using PPE or medical supply products in their process, like hospital, clinics, a research center. So from consumer perspective, they really value our safe products, clean products, and then also our functional product that create a better fit. As you also alluded to, inclusivity. We our PPE are tailored and made for women bodies. I think that's also differentiate us from other PPE products because it typically based on Caucasian male's body, and of course, this doesn't fit
Right.
everybody, especially healthcare professional that are 80% women.
Mhm.
So, I think 80% of our direct to consumer customer are women. Because of that, it made perfect sense, like because we have a product designed for them. So they come, for our products in that way because it's unique. From the enterprise perspective, I think, they really look at our product as a cost effective products that help them save on waste disposal costs. As I explained it to you, because our product are circular and could be recycled at the end of life, it means less cost going into higher waste disposal company to pick up disposable gowns or disposable anything that they currently using. It means less dollar per pound that they are paying for, like throwing the products, throwing disposable gowns away as per pound, and that could save them upward of 20 to 25% of waste costs, and that's a millions and
Wow.
$1 million for like hospital. I mean, UCLA, for example, is going through 2.2 million disposable gowns a year, so that's kind of give you a frame of mind of how much cost they are saving from disposing those things. So it's a cost effective product, but then also at the same time, it's allow them to meet the mandate environmental laws that are coming, things like extend producer responsibility that demanding hospital to have a lower carbon footprint or buying from provider that have the end of life recycling solution. As you could imagine, a lot of the company in our space and industry are currently not thinking about that or not thinking about product full life cycle because their business model for the longest time has been about disposable plastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you say has been your biggest challenge in disrupting such an established industry?
Yeah, I think we are at the right place at the right time for a product like ours. I think I talked to you even during COVID era or a couple of years ago, talking about circularity or environmental or sustainable actions in enterprise or healthcare enterprise was new, right?
Hmm.
But nowadays, I think there are global awareness and global mandate laws that are coming to place around that support, what we're doing. And more consumer are more aware of sustainability and their actions that could contribute to climate change more than ever. There's more study done on PFAs, there's more study done on plastic pollution. And so I would say that the easiness is the industry, the consumer mindset, and the enterprise priority are moving towards our type of product, but there's still a lot of education that needs to be done, right?
Hmm.
Education to be done to the consumer itself who is not exposed or being really into these type of content quite yet. Like why should they select our product instead of the plastic that they used to put on themselves? And also to enterprise of why is our product much more cost effective than a disposable product that they're currently buying. There's a lot of education that need to be done still, even though we growing and we are getting more people to support us along the way. And so yes, education is one. Second is to encourage the decision maker to take action. Just because they know about something and take action of sourcing and buying the right product is another step, right? And so for us, AmorSui, it's all about getting into trade shows, is to create digital marketing, to creating content that is educating our consumer. So in turn, maybe they go into the hospital they work, they could educate their colleague or talk about their department head about it to make the right sourcing decision. But at the same time, we have to engage with a leadership of hospital to help them be exposed to our product. So when there's in time to buy our product, they actually make a decision of buying. So like we are getting there in all angles of marketing and content creations to be able to educate both consumer and enterprise. But at the same time, we are working with this distribution partner to have more hand in the sales force with established relationship to talk our product and educate both consumer and leadership at the same time. So that's a challenge. Anything new come with education, anything new come with awareness. But I think we're in the right place at the right time, and we are currently expanding our brand and companies to really change and really grab this shit before anyone else.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're early to market too. There's certainly a huge education aspect to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
How do you
What
use
would
the
you?
product? How is it safe? How does it save money? How is it save the environment? I mean, some people, it should be so clear to them, disposable product versus reusable product. It's like disposable plate versus plate that you could wash. Which one is more environmental friendly? It should come to them, but that's not the case. So there's a lot of educational that need to be made around.
Yeah, I'm sure. And building that level of trust with the customer as well is probably also key
Yep.
to get them to.
Yep, it come with times. It come with volume of people who use and talk about the product. So absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Those testimonials and things like that can be really key in getting people to say yes. What do you think makes it difficult to raise awareness in general and amongst the different targets that you work with?
From my perspective, I don't think the concept is hard. I don't think the work is hard. But because you start from the ground and you want to educate the consumer about the product or about what we're trying to do. And this is, for me, it doesn't seem like a new concept because I've been pursuing it since I started my company 7 years ago. But for a lot of people, it is a new concept. Like sustainable procurement and purchasing, buying sustainable medical supplies is a new concept to them. Some traditional companies, the medical supply company, these are only been in their mind for the past 1 or 2 years. And so I don't think the concept of creating content and educating or finding the right people to talk to is hard, but it's about repetitions and volume to be able to get something across enough to make action. And I think it comes with time. So like the first day you might show. I'm just giving an example that might be easy. Like if we do a Facebook ad, for example, educate someone about our product and our brand. The first day you might find 10 people and maybe only one people will tell someone about our product or think, oh, this is interesting to talk about someone. And then over time, that one people could talk to two people, three people, four people, five people, or that adds over time could learn to find the right people to talk or take action on buying our product. So it takes time to scale and grow. And we have grown faster and faster in the past couple of years, but it takes key learnings. Like, what is it about that ad that grabbed that attention? What is it about messaging that actually give them enough correct information to tell them, to encourage them to tell someone else? Those take learnings and those take repetitions to be able to do it effectively and from a cost perspective and from a business perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I found that connecting to folks at an emotional level definitely helps to move them in some way.
What make them text? What make them, what make them decide to talk to other people about us instead of another funny TikTok person?
Exactly.
What create that connections and emotional link to get them to care enough? What is it? And it
Yeah.
sounds easy, but like when you're actually doing it, it is actually exercise.
Yeah. Well, your personal story is very powerful, I think, when you tell it. So it's a perfect example of why it exists and why your company is so important.
I think so. We're still working hard to get that out in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's, as we speak right now, there's someone else that getting hurt, getting infected, or some way, shape, or form are currently not performing at 100% at work because a PPE that does not fit or the medical supply that fail to meet the standard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell my story about how I started the company, but truly what encouraged me to start the business was that I was at lunch with, I told you I was a researcher. I'm a scientist, so I was still working in the lab at the time before I started this company. I was at lunch with 15 women scientists, just girlfriend having lunch. I shared a story of why I was out of work for 2 weeks and I just came back. And I told them my story. And every single one of the women at the table, 15 of them, have something to tell about an accident that happened because a lab coat that did not fit, a glove that did not fit, or something that did not fit. They almost get their finger cut. They almost get their hair, like pulled into a machine, something like that. And it actually give me pause of like, oh, like, why is this happening? It seems like I'm not the only one who's facing this. It really turned out that my problem is a global one, especially at COVID, like this is the issue that happened worldwide and has happened before COVID happened. And still to this day are still existing in the market. And no one is doing much about it.
Yeah. Well, you're doing something about it, which is important. What are your main growth targets for 2025?
Yes. Speaking about volume and brand awareness, that's really important to us. In fact, we're really looking at being able to create opportunities for people to learn and be educated about product as much as possible. And that's mean partnering with distribution partners with a huge sales force that we could train to tell our story. They're established decision maker in hospital, in government, in clinics. So we line up distribution partner that will get us 90% of US access this year. And then next year, we are looking at launching in European market with a partner that would get us access to 14 EU countries, private public sector. And they have a sales force that basically, if we do it correctly, they would tell our story and be able to get our story out there to the right people. So these are, important things that we're currently doing in terms of growing and scaling our storytelling about our brand in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's great. So I understand you're launching subscription plans. What drove that decision?
The way that we think about subscription plan, our products expired after 100 washes. So, like if you launder our gowns, for example, 2 times a week, that means after 1 year, our product needs to be repurchased. So from a contractual perspective, that's a subscription plan that we currently have in place right now. Again, our business are evolving over time. And so, like right now, that's our current business.
And how are you currently reaching new healthcare facilities and labs?
There's two ways right now that we are thinking about. One is, as I share with you, direct to consumer by word of mouth. Healthcare professional or scientist or someone who work at oil and gas company or food manufacturing company might discover our product, might buy it themselves and tell their colleague about it or bring it to show it to where they work and be like, hey, I really like to have this be a part of my PPE or my product that available to me to protect me at work. And that turned into enterprise sales or a clinic sales to a larger volume audience. The second piece that we are currently launching is distribution partnership, as I share with you, which means that we are working with a strategic distribution partner that would get us to 30,000 dental clinic, for example, to 90% US market, including large hospital. And we are creating sales messaging, and marketing asset for these sales rep of our distribution partner to be able to tell our story consistently, to be able to sell our product in the end. So those are kind of two ways that we are currently getting into those enterprise accounts.
That's great. What trends are you seeing in sustainable PPE that excite you?
Evan, I think we're in the right place at the right time. One, more than ever, there's more education around plastic pollution. And so over time, I think plastic product will be, at least facing in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it would never go away, but at least there'll be less use of plastic and then more consideration for alternative product like ours in the long run. Second, I'm really excited about a new mandate around extend producer responsibility laws that are happening in California, that is happening now in New York and New Jersey. And basically, it encouraged producer, buyer, retailer of PPE and disposable medical supply products to come up with ways to recycle their products. So a product with an end-of-life solution like ours that could be recycled, that won't end up in the landfill, will be more considered and adopt widely compared to disposable product without end-of-life solution. So those are two things from a sustainability perspective I'm really excited about.
That's great. And so if we had this conversation again in 12 months, what would make you feel it's been a successful year?
We're gearing up to launch in 90% of the US market, as I share with you, with a strategic partner. That is slated to launch this fall. So in a couple months here, I hope I will be excited to share the result of that. We also would be, in the next year, we'll be launching in Europe. So we'll be glad to see our products in European countries.
Yeah, well, that'd be really exciting. Looking forward to that for you. That's great. Well, that's it for today's episode of Healthier, Happier You, the people working to make it happen. A huge thank you to Beau for sharing her insights and amazing work that AmorSui is doing to help people truly live healthier, happier lives. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit. And if you're a brand or business making an impact in health, wellness, or personal care, we'd love to help you grow. Connect with me at luxhammer.com. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep making a difference.